Hey friends, welcome to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. I'm Debbie Georgiani along with Jerry Usher, and this is Take Two, your show. This is where we help one another. We take a fresh look at ourselves and the world around us. And this is a perfect day, perfect time. Just, it's everything, the stage is set, if you will, for this topic. Because so many of us are going into the weekend and we want to carve out a little bit of time to pick up things that we want to read, that inspire us, maybe bring us joy, promote creativity, help us in our faith. And, well, what do we pick up to read? What are we going to do? There's so many things to do that you could go to the internet, you could look at your bookshelves, you could go to the store and pick up a new book. But which books are going to help me? Which are going to be the best use of my time? That's what we're talking about today on Take Two. What book has helped you in your faith? And Jerry, I couldn't sleep all night because when we researched this and really pray about these topics, and I have to tell you, I started out with about 3 books I was going to share, and I'm up to about 37. That's not good.
Well, there you go, folks. Debbie was up all night. She's probably really tired. So you need to call and help keep her awake during this hour at 1-800-585-9396. So if you've read a book lately, it doesn't even have to be a religious or spiritual book. My sister got the book reading gene in my family. I didn't get it. I don't read as much as I should. But another thing that we can talk about, dear listeners, is have you personally moved away from actually picking up a book and reading it to reading only stuff, say, on the internet or just little bits and pieces.
Sure.
As we pick up a little throwaway paper here or there, or something like that. So what are your reading habits, and how do those fit in with who you are as an overall person?
There's nothing like a good book, though, Jerry. I love taking books on. I love taking books on plane trips when I'm working and traveling. I always pick up a book, and I always make sure that other people can see the title of it. It usually is a religious book. And almost always somebody will tap me and say, "Excuse me, is that a good book? Or can you tell me why you like that book?" And then it starts the conversation. And then here you go with the opportunity to evangelize. And there's nothing like a good book where you can turn the pages. I mean, I know about these Kindles and these Nooks and all this kind of stuff, and that's great. But there's just something about that. It has such a, I don't know, it's just a great feel to it, to hold a good book in your hand. And I think it's just a wonderful thing. I have a library in our home. I'm looking at it right now, actually, tons of books on shelves. And I just love sometimes just taking that moment and coming in and kind of perusing the library, if you will, and picking that book up and reading a few chapters from it. And it does kind of keep you going. I think there's a beauty to it. So we want to hear from you. 1-800-585-9396. Do you like reading books, or do you like reading it online, or do you like reading it from a Kindle? Tell us what your likes and dislikes are.
It is kind of funny because a decade or two ago, you would not have overheard this in someone's home. "Honey, I'm going to go curl up by the fire with my Kindle." It would have been with my book.
Yeah.
Here's something else. My sister will have 2 or 3, sometimes 2 or 3 books going at a time. So
Really?
she's juggling, and she'll pick one up and maybe for a few days, and then for a few other days she'll be reading out of this other one. And I don't know. I like I said, I'm not even one to read one book as often as I should, but I'm really inspired by her. So
Right.
Anyway, calls are just coming in like crazy here. Have you read a good book lately? How important is reading to you? And as we are now in this digital age, here's maybe the $10 million question, if that's the right dollar amount. If you're raising your kids, reading has been such an important part of the formation of young minds. Mm-hmm. And nowadays, is it video games instead of reading, or do you require your kids to sit down and grab a book and read, even if it's just a few pages every day?
Sure.
What are you doing with your kids to help them get into the practice of reading?
Yeah, that's a very good point. Talking about that, I remember this is back in the day. I mean, my kids they're in their 20s. but going to the library, and there's something about the library. Did you ever notice that the books at the library have a different smell to them? And it's a unique library smell, seriously, and it's
Oh, yeah.
amazing. And it's just I think there's a whole part there's a whole art. There's an art to reading. I can't even speak because I'm getting so excited about books again. It's beautiful. Books are really beautiful, and they just say so much about yourself, about the books you choose that you have in your home. Like I know I have the beautiful book about Mother Angelica, her final years by Raymond Arroyo on my coffee table, and we love it. It is absolutely beautiful. And so books really are really a beautiful thing, and we want you to share what has meant the most to you in a book that you have read. Has it changed your faith? Has it inspired you, made you more creative, brought you a great sense of joy, maybe helped your relationships? Tell us so that we don't have to try to get book recommendations. We can use Take Two, this show, to help each other move forward and pick books. 1-800-585-9396.
All right, I am kind of ashamed, not ashamed, it's just a little bit odd that the last time I was in the library, I was in an area where I didn't have internet, Wi-Fi for my laptop, so I went to the library to use the computer. So it wasn't to grab a book or anything, but anyway, we got full phone lines here. We're going to get to your calls on Fridays, Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. Have you read a good book? What was it? How did it inspire you? Teaching your kids the importance of reading, or maybe we're moving from actual physical books to the electronic type. Share your take today. Love to hear from you.
The wisdom of Mother Angelica.
I hope we all learn something about disappointment. They come, and they will always come. If you're disappointed in yourself, go to Jesus. Go to Mary. She understands. If you're disappointed in those who you work with, pray for them. If you're disappointed with those in the church, pray for them. If you're disappointed in the world and leaders of the world, pray for them. If you're disappointed in your children, pray for them. Remember what Our Lady said at Fatima, pray the rosary. It would not only ease the pain in your heart, it will obtain grace for those that you pray for.
Why did millions of people tune in each week to listen to Mother Angelica on her live television program? Because she had the answers. Whatever the question, problem, or heartbreaking sorrow, guided by the Holy Spirit and directed by the teachings of the Church, Mother Angelica had straightforward solutions to life's puzzling problems. Mother Angelica's Answers, Not Promises, a profoundly practical, humorous, and common sense collection, available now at EWTNRC.com.
Thanks for joining us on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie on the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network. We are talking today about what book has helped you in your faith, or inspired you, or brought you joy, or helped you in your relationship, or maybe helped you at work. We want to hear from you. Give us your book recommendation so we don't have to do the homework ourselves. We can just take it from you and know that we can go to our local bookstore and pick up that book, or we can order that book online and read it as well, and it can inspire us too. Okay, Cindy, you have been waiting. You came in so quickly at the beginning of the show, so you obviously want to start off this show. Cindy's listening to EWTN Radio in Elmira, New York, on Mary the Queen. Cindy, welcome to Take Two.
Here.
Hi, Cindy.
Hi. The book that I found really inspiring, and I came across it because of during the Lenten season, we had daily reflections, and all of the scriptures were from the Catholic Bible, the Message. And the book that I love the most in the Bible is the book of Proverbs, because to me it's the best self-help book there is. And the renderings, the translations from the book, the Message, they're just so poignant. Some of them are funny. Others just really, hit you so closely, to your heart. Like, for example, Proverbs 27:19, it said, as water mirrors the face, so the face mirrors the heart. Mm-hmm. And I just found that just so refreshing. And other other scriptures too, like when you guys talked one time a few days ago about gossip. One of the scriptures in the book, The Message from the book of Proverbs, mentions that gossip can make you sick, just like filling your belly with candy. So
Wow.
I just found that was something that was very inspiring and wonderful for me.
So, Cindy, help me with this because it's called The Message?
Yes.
Oh,
It's
okay.
a Catholic Bible called The Message. And I don't know if during the Lenten season, if you folks got the booklet that went from Ash Wednesday, straight through
Okay.
during the whole Lenten season. So every day there was some information and a scripture as a reflection for that day. And that was the Bible that they used. Yeah.
At your church?
And it's called The Message. Yeah.
Oh wow! So and Proverbs. So let's go back to Proverbs for a moment because we've done a show. I believe we did a topic or partly on Proverbs. Jerry and I both have a strong passion for Proverbs, and it's really you're absolutely right on about that when you said at the beginning it's the best self-help. Absolutely, and that's
Right.
and Psalms as well, and Proverbs, and it really does help people to really understand what we all kind of encounter, what we all go through, and how in Scripture we can find the remedy for that. We can find what can help us and heal us and move us forward. So that's really interesting because it's funny how we're seeing a shift in even religious education of going back into Psalms and Proverbs to really look for the answers. So it sounds like you're right along with that, Cindy, and thank you so much for your take on this today.
Yeah, and I think that when people read that, because of the fact that it's written in the common language that we speak right now, the renderings are just so wonderful. You get the point straight away. So.
Good stuff, Cindy. Thank you so much for being part of Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. And I echo what Cindy you said and Debbie you said. We don't read Proverbs enough.
That's right.
Because I think for whatever, it's kind of like the Psalms. No matter what situation you're going through, there's a psalm for just about everything. In fact, I mentioned, I don't know if it was this show or I was hosting for Al Cresta the other day. Being a former disc jockey, there's that saying, there's a song in that. Almost anything everybody says is our song lyrics. So there's a song in that. Well, I've often thought it'd be kind of neat to write a book called There's a Psalm in That. And
Right.
no matter what somebody is going through in life, and Proverbs as well. So thanks again, Cindy. Over to Holly in North Carolina, listening to EWTN Radio on Sirius XM 130. Hi, Holly. You're next on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie.
Hi, how are you?
Good,
Great, Holly. How are
you?
you?
I'm great. I'm driving, so I'm not going to be able to recall the author of this book that I'm going to recommend, but I heard him speak 2 years ago when I was driving back from D.C. to North Carolina, and the name of the book is Tobit's Dog.
Tobit's Dog.
It is
Okay.
an amazing novel, warm-hearted, sad, laughed, cried, the whole thing, and but it's based on the book of Tobit in our Bible. And I've recommended it to Catholic friends, Protestant friends. It is loved and adored by everybody that reads it, and it's just a wonderful book.
Wow, and it's called
Yeah,
Tobit's
I'm seeing
Dog.
that. Yeah,
Okay.
Michael Nicholas
It's called
Richard.
Tobit's Dog. Yes.
Yeah.
What's the author? Who's the author, Jerry?
Michael Nicholas Richard. Yeah, I've heard about that. It's published by Ignatius Press, too, by the way, which is very, very good publisher. Of course, they put out some great stuff. And can you tell us just a...
I
But-
heard about the book. I heard the author speak on EWTN a couple years ago, and it really just is about, in the Bible, Tobit has a really hard life and, goes through lots of trials and tribulations, but it's set in the old South, in a really old setting in North Carolina where African American people are not thought of very highly, and this is an African American family who's Catholic, and it's just a journey. It is such a wonderful book. I cannot tell you enough about it. It's one of those where you pick it up, you read it, and you want to be finished with it in a day because it's that good.
That is so funny. You almost read my mind, Holly. That's exactly what I was just going to ask you. Is it something that you pick up and you don't want to put down? So it sounds like it is.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
In fact,
And-
I've read it 2 or 3 times, and every time I give it to a friend, we sit down and talk about it again. My
Wow.
26-year-old daughter loved it just as much as my 60-year-old friend. So it's pretty amazing.
Wow.
Real
and
page turner.
Real page turner. Yeah. Is that, and that you said that is published by Ignatius Press, Jerry?
Ignatius
Yes.
Press, yeah, they
Wow.
put out
And
some
I
great
got it
stuff.
off Amazon. So, I mean, I went home the day that I heard him speak. I went home and ordered it and got it and read it. And it's interesting because 2 years ago I was diagnosed with cancer, and it came at just this time where the emotions were just flowing.
Oh.
And it was just one of those books where you go, oh, my gosh, if Tobit can do it, I can do it.
I can do it.
You know,
Sure,
so,
sure. How are
yeah,
you
it's
doing
great.
right now, Holly? How are you doing now?
Well, I have leukemia. It's called LGL leukemia, and it's very chronic, and I go through ebbs and flows. I've been sick for about a month, but you know what? I'm coming out of it. I'm a teacher at a community college, so I, keep myself busy, keep my energy up. My husband jokes, he's like, you have enough energy to teach those kids, and then you come home and you just want to collapse. But
Right.
I'm doing pretty well. I really am.
Good. Well, your spirit, you sound great, and you're very have an uplifted tone to you. So that's awesome to keep up that positive attitude. And so I'm just going to ask, dear listeners, if you're listening right now, please keep Holly and her family in your prayers so that she continues to have full healing and health and energy going through this. And so hopefully, Holly, you'll come out better at the end of this, and you'll look back and say, wow, that cancer was a blessing. That's what I said from the encounter that I had over 20 years ago, and I never thought I would say that at the time, but I actually do say that. So I wish
Absolutely. Thank
Yeah.
you. You know what you do? You live your life differently. You absolutely, things, even though God has always set us up to live with a thankful heart, it's amazing how a diagnosis and a grateful spirit just will change your world altogether. It's transforming.
Yep. Amen. Well, Holly, you have the world praying for you now, and we're big on the rosary.
Thank you.
So
Awesome.
God bless
you.
Holly.
Tobit's dog. Everybody will love it.
Okay.
Thank
God bless,
you. Bye-bye.
God bless you, Holly. I'll tell you, Debbie, if she had not mentioned that she had the leukemia, you'd never know. She sounds like someone in whose life everything is just about perfect, and you know what? It is perfect.
It's her outlook.
If
She's
you
got
look
beautiful
at
outlook.
it as God's will, which she obviously is doing, and
Yep.
Holly, you have taught and inspired all of us today. So thank you. And I just want to take a quick moment. We got a lot of calls to get to. Thank you for your patience. I just wanted to mention it's a good time to say EWTN Religious Catalog, too. Friends, don't forget about them. They're at EWTNRC. Real easy to remember. EWTNRC.com. You will find great stuff there. And when you shop there and buy books and other resources, you're supporting the network, which brings you programs like ours and so many others. So please make a point of that. And also, there are a ton of Catholic bookstores around the country. And dear friends, they're not in this to go on expensive vacations or drive luxury cars. I can assure you of that. Their number one goal is to bring to their local area the good books like this and religious art and statues and rosaries and so much more. So if you have a Catholic bookstore in your area, please pay them a visit and do some of your shopping there.
Right, and just to add to what you said, Jerry, because I'm so glad you did mention EWTN Religious Catalog and also the bookstores, local bookstores. I just wanted to say too that especially for Catholics, please make sure that when you are especially picking up a translation of the Bible or a book, that it is approved for Catholics to read it and to also use it in the classrooms and stuff. So you can check with the usccb.org. You can check with even EWTN Religious Catalog if you know it's there. It's good. It's sound. It's approved. And then also too, it's important to check with your parish because sometimes well-meaning catechists, I've seen this before. They'll pick up a book and they'll say, "Wow, this is great," and it turns out it's really not Catholic approved. So. And the reason why we want to make sure that it's correct teaching, the doctrine's correct, everything is correct in it, so that we don't mislead anybody. So it's really important to remember that as well. Yeah. Jerry.
I just want to say, and this is in total agreement with what you said. There's no list, though. I guess is a good point to make. When you said Catholic approved, I think what you meant was that it's in conformity with Catholic faith and doesn't, because sometimes things can be really inspiring and make you feel great, and you think this is going to be fantastic, but theologically there could be something that goes off in a slightly different direction or something. And I'm sure that's what you meant, Deb. So,
yep, that's exactly what I meant. And you're right, there isn't a list. However, there is a list on USCCB of approved translations for the Bible for Catholics to read. Yeah, there is. Because I know I used to point catechists there. But you're right. And so that's why it's important to have like EWTN Religious Catalog. You know that they're there. They've done the research, and that's so great. And you can get just a plethora of different types of books for you to give as gifts or for your own library. 1-800-585-9396. If you want to recommend a book, we want to hear from you. So we are going to, let's see, Carol in Pennsylvania, listening to EWTN Radio on EWTN.com. Hi, Carol. Welcome to Take Two.
Hi. And what's so wonderful? I just found your show. This is really silly to say it this way, but my I'm blind, and my computer would not pick up EWTN for almost 2 years. Huh. So I was really disappointed because I always loved it, but the other day, a couple of weeks ago, I tried again. I thought, I'm going to try again. So I did, and bada bing, now it's up again. So I'm really enjoying. I have it on all the time. But I do have a question. This will be something that maybe some other listeners can get in on maybe sometime. Because I am blind, I have to listen to everything on CD. And it's getting more and more difficult for me to find things on CD, whether it's scripture things or everything's going to ebook or Kindle. And I don't have that kind of money to get a Kindle or do ebooks and stuff. So it's really getting hard. So if any listener could call and give me a suggestion. In fact, even with EWTN, there are things that I want that aren't available on CD, and it's like, oh no, I want it and I can't have it because it's not available. And it's just making it harder and harder for us blind people who rely on CDs.
Well, Carol, have you heard of Lighthouse Catholic Media?
I have, but is that a library?
It's a CD. It's basically it's all CDs, and a lot of the CDs from Lighthouse Catholic Media come off of the books that were written by the same authors, like Peter Kraft and Father Larry Richards, and it goes on and on. Matthew Kelly, and at Lighthouse Catholic Media, I would definitely look into that, Carol, because you can actually join their monthly club, and they'll send you the CDs. Just to let you know, Carol, I probably have a stack of their CDs. Let's see, I'm looking at it right now, about 15 inches high. So that should tell you how great they are.
Oh, cool. So you get to keep them?
Yeah, you get to keep them. Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow. Well, see, I belong to the Xavier Society, and I love them, too. But you can't keep their CDs.
Oh, okay, yeah. So you might want to look into Lighthouse Catholic Media. It's really wonderful, and they're great folks. And sometimes the parishes have the kiosks in the back of their vestibule, and you can go and just put in the amount and take the CD. Go ahead, Jerry. You were going to say something?
No, I was going to echo what you just actually said, what I was going to say. And that is, Carol, you might want to check with your parish, because a lot of parishes, mine does. My parish has a wood kiosk in the back, and it's an honor system. You put in $1 or $2, $3, depending on what the CD is, and you get to take them home. You get to keep them. And so, Carol, if your parish does not have that, just say, hey, Father, I got a great idea. And he may look at the need that you have and realize not only would it help you, but it would help all the other people in your parish. So, yes. Carol, there are some ideas. You might also call the EWTN Religious Catalog, and I don't have that number right in front of me here, but I will definitely have that on the other side of our short break. Carol, Thanks for calling. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Carol, so very, very much. That's a really good point. CDs, I mean, they're great to listen to because you can be in the car. And I know, Jerry, you and I are getting ready to produce a CD, and I'm excited about it, so that should be awesome as well. We're going to take a quick pause. When we come back, more about your book recommendations for us. We'll be right back on Take Two.
It's June 10th, the anniversary of the translation of the relics of St. Bridget of Ireland. In this case, the word translation refers to the moving of a saint's relics to a more suitable grave or shrine. It often becomes a feast day on the local church calendar. Also, Blessed Edward Pope died on this day in 1924. After service in World War I, Edward was ordained a priest. He spent his ministry fighting against secularism and Marxism and promoting devotion to the Eucharist. He died at the age of 33.
When the apostles saw Jesus walking on water, they were terrified. They thought it was a ghost. Peter blurted out, "If it's you, tell me to come to you." On one hand, he was looking for a miracle, but I think Peter also was looking for something else to prove that it was the Lord. There was something about Jesus' words that may have been unlike any other voice in Peter's life. You see, Peter didn't just believe in Jesus. Jesus believed in him. At his first encounter with Jesus, Peter said, "Depart from me, I'm a sinful man." And he heard the unthinkable. "Come follow me, you'll be a fisher of men." In other words, I see more in you than you see in yourself, Peter. So when he heard, "Come, walk on the water," Peter knew who it was. Jesus is the voice that wants to empower you and build you up. Do yourself a favor and stop listening to that critical voice in your head that keeps ripping you down. It's not God. This is Chris Stefanik from RealLifeCatholic.com on EWTN Radio.
The EWTN book of the month for June is Mother Angelica's Answers, Not Promises. Mother's straightforward solutions to life's puzzling problems are written in this practical, humorous, and common sense collection that will help you with your struggles and draw you closer to God. It's available through the EWTN Religious Catalog web store, EWTNRC.com, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, or call 1-800-854-6316.
This is Listener Driven, Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. Actually, it's you driven. You drive the show with your takes. Today we're talking about, have you read a good book lately? Not just book recommendations, but really reading in general. Have you, so many of us, this may or may not be you, you can call in and share, do you have to discipline yourself? Maybe you were once a great reader, and now with technology and social media and the gadgets and TV, maybe you've gotten out of that habit, that healthy habit of reading a book, and you have to struggle to kind of make yourself do that. Share that with us if you want, or maybe you've gone the other way. You used to not be a reader, but now as you get a little bit older, you want to make sure that you take that time to strengthen your mind and your faith by doing some reading. So we're talking about a lot of things related to reading and its importance and forming your kids to be good readers. So the number again is 1-800-585-9396. Harriet, thank you for waiting in Downingtown, Pennsylvania, listening to EWTN Radio on Holy Spirit Radio. Harriet, good day to you. Thanks for calling.
Yes. Hi, how are you? If you hear snoring in the background, it's my dog, so I hope that doesn't interfere with anything.
It's a dog's life, Harriet.
It's life, let me tell you. My book that I recommend so highly is called Inner Compass, and it's by Margaret Silf. And on the cover it says it's an invitation to Ignatian spirituality, but it truly doesn't get technical or theological or anything like that. It is just in the foreword it says, "I know of no publishing house that has ever offered to reimburse a buyer who remains dissatisfied after reading one of its books." It says, "I think Loyola Press could safely make the first such offer with Inner Compass." It is terrific. In the preface, and it says, "Before you begin, this book is a companion for your inner journey. Take it gently and enjoy the landscape as you go. Don't rush at it like a fell runner intent on breaking the land speed record. The more you savor the journey, the more you will benefit from it." And this is a book that I wished would never end. That's how impactful it was in my life and also in the lives of a few people that I know, because it came to me through a book study that our parish has in place. And every year we use a particular book to kind of study. And every woman, and it's mainly just women in this group, they said that this book has really impacted their life. It talks about the where you are, in life, and it talks about. It starts out with like an invitation. Everybody is interested in themselves, and that's the person we know the least about sometimes. And so it takes you through this journey in self-discovery, using Ignatian spirituality, the where I am, the how I am, and in the inner circle, who I am, and then the great I am. It is just a fantastic journey. I can't recommend this book enough.
That's Inner Compass, and I'm not personally familiar with it, but I do know, and I think many of our listeners know, Debbie, you do, that anything that is built around authentic Ignatian spirituality is going to be good, because St. Ignatius, you're right, Harriet. St. Ignatius really bequeathed to the church a tremendous spiritual program, if you will. I mean, some people go on 30-day silent Ignatian retreats. That would drive me crazy.
Right. Well, in the foreword, it does say that, the person who wrote the foreword says, I'm very familiar with spiritual exercises. Over familiarity has not bred contempt, but it does tend to breed boredom sometimes. So this book is not like that. One of your previous callers said that, she couldn't wait to finish the book. This book, you don't want it to ever end. It is that good. And for women, I mean, it just, I've read many different spiritual books, and I love them all. One is better than the other. Always the last one is the best one you've read. This one is just marvelous for a woman, and I think that what you get out of it is a better knowledge of who you are and what God wants of you, and that is just purpose. Total union with Him.
Wow, beautiful. Harriet, I've got a question for you. When you said this came through your parish, was this a formalized, like, adult formation group, or was this something that a group just got together and decided to do a book sharing?
Right. This is a woman who runs this. She is one of a spiritual director, and she just thought, let's get a book study group together. And I guess it's been about 4 or 5 years that they've gone through a study, and maybe it lasts about 6 months, depending. Right. Starts usually in the fall, and a lot of times, the same women come, and then you have new women coming in. We started out, I believe it was with the Joyce Rupp books, and went through, I think, 2 or 3 of her books. And then this one, and it has, after the chapters, there is just a small area where you can delve into other examinations, of this, of who you are, where you are, and her way of writing is just so interesting that it just speaks to women, I believe, who have a very soft heart and speaks gently. It's fantastic. I don't normally call talk shows. I don't know. I went upstairs to do my windows, and I thought I'll put on the radio station. And when I did, you announced your topic, and I said, I've got to stop my work.
Oh, bless your heart.
I've got to tell people about this book, because if it helps one person, 2 people, God, it was well
That's
worth
true.
it.
Well, and Harriet, thank you for, you obviously have a heart that is after God, and that's really, that should be the end result of whatever we do, whatever pursuits we undertake, reading being one of them, whether that is, whether it's a explicitly religious book or not. It could be Lord of the Rings or something like that, or even a good wholesome love story. I mean, there have been great books written over the years. There's a lot of junk out there that we have to kind of navigate our way through, but still, it's part of being well-rounded, I believe. And so,
Yeah.
Harriet, thank you very much for calling in and sharing that.
Yep. Thank you, Harriet. That was awesome. Okay, we're going to move over to Bradley, listening to EWTN Radio in Wichita, Kansas on iHeartRadio app. Hi, Bradley. Welcome to Take Two.
Hello.
Hello.
Well, first off, I am an audiobook narrator and an author, so one thing I was hoping to do is to kind of encourage people to actually write their own books as much as read other books. No one person can ever identify exactly how God's going to work through them, but you never know what book you're going to have until you write it.
Interesting. Well, Jerry and I we're composing a few different literature that I think would be interesting. So tell us, what would be your recommendation? How does one get started? Do they just start writing whatever's coming to them?
Well, when I've written 2 books myself from the Arcane Savant series. It's fantasy out there in the middle of nowhere. But I suggest that everyone just close their eyes, write what's in their mind, and then when you get it all out and when you have written the words in, then go back and edit. And then you can look up, I think Writer's Digest has a very good resource when it comes down to how the industry works. Or if you want to go through and be self-published, you can go to Kindle Plus or acx.com, and those are 2 different resources. You can either self-publish or get an audiobook made.
Wow, we're going to have a lot of authors out there because of your call, Bradley.
Well, I hope so.
Yeah.
Because, was it 1 in 25,000 people are actually published authors? How many people have a book in them, but they never write it?
Well, everybody has a story, so that's kind of interesting. And so you actually you're the voice of some of the audiobooks?
Yes,
Very cool.
I narrated The King by Lorelyn Roberts, and I just finished the raw recording. It's not edited yet, for The Suffering of Innocence by Mark Z, and that book is reconciliation through faith of a loved one that you have. In the book, 2 twins are killed in an auto accident, and the book is about the father's journey. It's a very short book. The book is about the father's journey about reconciliation of this tragedy through his trust in God. That loving God is to trust him.
Wow. Well, you know what's interesting in what you're saying, though, Bradley? You made me think of my dad when he was passing in 2010. And he had such an incredible story to tell looking back on his life. And I remember all of us, us kids, kind of feverishly taking notes and thinking, why didn't we have this all written down? This would make a great screenplay. This would make a great. It's interesting that you're saying that, and I would tend to agree with you completely that we all have a very interesting story that could help one another grow. I mean, we're made in the image and likeness of God to be here to get back to God and to bring as many souls with us as possible. So why wouldn't we share what our life's experiences and stories are to help others? That's very interesting. I would love to explore that a little deeper, because actually for kids, there's a lot of creative teenagers out there that don't take the time to explore their creativity in writing, and so this may be a good chance if any teens are listening to put their thoughts and what's in their minds on paper. That's excellent. Thank you for calling. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bradley, for joining us. I agree. I think that there's a lot of creativity inside every person, really. We all get inspired in different ways by God, by the world around us, by those we know and love. And a lot of people commit. A lot of people journal, for example. Debbie, I know you have in the past.
I do
Maybe
too.
you still do.
I do.
I've got books and books and books of journals from my spiritual time over the years. So I think writing things down really is a very important exercise. So certainly, Bradley, thank you for your call and your encouragement of us to do more writing of our own. And who knows, it could turn into something that you could share with other people. 800-585-9396. We're going to go to Joseph in Glenville, Missouri, listening to EWTN.com. Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. Hi, Joseph. Hello, Joseph. All right, Joseph, we'll maybe have to pick up that line and see if he's still there.
Yes,
All right.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Oh, you are there. Okay,
Hi,
good.
Joseph.
Hi. How are you? I just called because I wanted to recommend a book that I read. I'm just finished reading. It's called How Christ Said the First Mass by Father James Meagher. And it is an incredible book. You can learn a lot about the Jewish roots of where the priests get their vestments from, where a lot of the prayers in the Mass come from the Passover and the prayers said in the temple. He explains just so many of the different aspects. It's really a very scholarly work, and I just can't recommend it enough.
Yeah, I am somewhat familiar with this book. Again, it's How Christ Said the First Mass. And Joseph, I'm glad you brought this up for a number of reasons, because obviously it's has to do with reading in general. But when we read things like this, that take us back to our faith, the roots of our faith, it's so important. It's so important that we understand, for example, where the Mass is in the Bible and what was the cultural milieu, if you will, of the Jewish people at the time, and why Jesus did what he did and said what he said. There's been a lot of work on this. Deacon Harold Burke-Sivers has his booklet, The Mass and Sacred Scripture. Scott Hahn has done a ton of work on this. But Debbie, for us to understand the Mass and to be able to really know and appreciate and value the fact that it's first and foremost historical, but when that history then can be combined with what Scripture reveals about the Mass, this can really make the Holy Sacrifice come alive for us.
Oh, absolutely. It sounds like that's what it did for you, Joseph, and that's really awesome because it gives you that insight, that background, that history, and that does change the way you view things, I would presume, right? When you go to Mass, doesn't it make it feel differently? It makes it feel different?
Yes, I would definitely say so. And from all my life, as a creative Catholic, I attended Mass, and I never really understood why it is that we say or pray the things that we do at Mass, and I never really understood where these things came from. And Father James Meagher, he cites so many ancient sources, and he talks about how the liturgy of St. James, the Apostle, that comes right from the very first Catholic Church, which was the very first cathedral. And that was that of St. James the Lesser, who was made Bishop of Jerusalem. And that church was the cenacle where the Last Supper, or the first Mass, was said, and where the Pentecost took place, where the tongues of fire appeared over the heads of the people, of the apostles and the Virgin Mother. And it's just so fascinating to see how he traces so many different traditions of the different rites of the Church, the Byzantine rite, the Maronite rite, the Melkite rite, the Latin rite. He traces so many of these different customs all the way back to the apostles, and it is truly enlightening. And it really is so confirming to me to know that the Catholic Church truly is the church that Christ founded.
Right, right. Well, Joseph, you would definitely benefit if you haven't been there already to the Holy Land, because that's exactly what I took away. And I know Jerry and I, we talk about it all the time. We went on the pilgrimage, a Vocation Boom pilgrimage in late December, early January of this past year. And that's exactly how we feel. The dots were all connected. Everything came together, and you were there right at the historical spots of these sacred moments, and then you went, wow, I get it. I understand now. These were the Jews. This is what happened. And it all just made sense. And so I could totally relate to that, Joseph. And I'm glad you found a book that really helped you with that and pushed your faith understanding forward, because that's what we're all meant to do, is to learn more and to grow more. And it sounds like that book really helped you do that. Thanks for imparting that to us, Joseph.
Yeah, very much.
Thank you
Appreciate
very much.
God bless you. Have a great day, Joseph. And we got time for 2, maybe 3 more calls, depending on time here, at 800-585-9396. We're going to go to Galveston County, Texas. Barbara, listening on EWTN Radio on Sirius XM 130. Hello, Barbara. Welcome to Take 2 with Jerry and Debbie.
Hello.
Hello there.
Hi.
One thing I wanted to say first before I go into the book that I was going to recommend was I do a lot of recreation type reading because I'm blessed to be able to go to daily mass, and so I get a lot of my good information feed through different things like that. And so when I come home in the evening, I like to recreation read, and I look for good, wholesome authors. And I like to read suspense novels sometimes. And then a good Catholic author in that venue is Mary Higgins Clark. She does suspense novels, and she's a good Catholic author. And she's getting up there in age. She has a ton of books that she's written. And then another one is Regina Doman. She writes for young people, typically. I've read all her books because my kids started reading them, and so I thought, well, what's the big deal about it? So I read all her books, too. But she puts out their good moral values out there in her writing. And you can find all these both these authors, of course, are like on Amazon and such as that. But who I called about was another Catholic author. He's a Canadian, and he's Michael O'Brien. And he writes some different novels. All like his is fiction, and he's a good Catholic, author with good morals and such. And the last one I read was Elijah in Jerusalem, and it's a sequel to his book that he wrote. 20 years ago, maybe, with Father Elijah. And they're, kind of, both of these two are kind of apocalyptical.
Apocalyptic, yeah.
Volumes are books that are have a lot of basis in the book of Revelation. And I just recommend both of those. And I've pretty much read all of Michael O'Brien's books. And he's a very good author, a very good Catholic author.
He is a Catholic indeed. He's had about a dozen books published with Ignatius Press, so he and Ignatius have a strong relationship there. And you're right, Father Elijah, Barbara, you said about 20 years ago. It was 1996 when that was published. And I just want to say a mention of Regina Doman, because I went to college with her at Franciscan University.
Oh, wow.
It's just great to see another Franciscan grad out there doing some good work. She's really very, very talented. Regina Doman is her name. And so, Barbara, bless your heart. Thank you so much for being part of Take Two with Jerry and Debbie today. We appreciate it. Time winding down. Let's go to Elizabeth in Noblesville, Indiana, listening to EWTN Radio on Catholic Radio Indy. Hi, Elizabeth. Welcome.
Hi. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I wanted to let you know about this great book I'm reading called Return, How to Draw Your Child Back to the Church. And it's by Brandon Vogt, V-O-G-T, and the foreword is written by Bishop Robert Barron.
Mm-hmm.
And he says this book will serve as a true game changer for despairing parents everywhere. Every parent or grandparent with a fallen away child should read this book. And I'm only into the 4th chapter, and it's great. It's got a whole new way of having me think about how I talk to my child, and honestly, all my nieces and nephews are away from the church too.
Right,
wow.
right.
Well, we all know Bishop Barron quite well. Mm-hmm. Many of us do, I should say, from his Catholicism DVD series and so much else. His Word on Fire Ministries on the internet. And Brandon Vaught actually happens to be his director of content for Word on Fire Ministries. So, yeah, this sounds like, Debbie, it's probably a really, really fantastic book. And the topic, how to draw your child back to the church. Boy, how many parents need something like that right now?
Yeah, I think that's very helpful. Elizabeth, you said you're halfway through it. Did you say halfway through?
Only about a third.
About a third. Okay, maybe when you get all done, can you also maybe check back with us and just let us know? Because we're going to be doing more shows with our teens and for parents of family members that have left the church. And so this might be really helpful. And you can tell us what you took out of it, and that would really help us as well. It advances us. It goes a lot faster when others have read stuff ahead of us.
Sure, and can I also mention this? It says they have a website, returnresources.com, where they have more free bonuses.
Wow,
so
very cool.
Helpful things that can help. Yeah.
Very cool.
Awesome.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth. That helps all of us, and we all have family members that have left the church, and so it's important for us to know the resources and to have the tools to draw people back. Absolutely. Way to go, Elizabeth.
Thanks for joining us today on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. And Debbie Ann and the others, sorry, we got about a minute or so left before we hear the closing music there, so we apologize that we won't have time to get you on the show, but just wanted to make a mention, Debbie, of next week. I don't think we've mentioned that for a couple days. It's an exciting week for this program and for our listeners.
It's our anniversary week. 1 year we've been on the air with you, dear listeners, and we want you to help us celebrate. So we're taking the entire week and having special shows. We're going to do a countdown of the most popular shows, like the third most popular, second, first, and then celebrate looking back and looking forward, and we need you to help us. So please make sure you set time aside to celebrate with us on anniversary week, which starts on Monday. Did I say that okay?
It starts on Monday, indeed, and Wednesday is the actual first anniversary, June 15th. Hard to believe it's been 1 year already, and we'll say more about this next week, but as we wrap up a day and a week here today, Debbie, I just want to say to our listeners, you who listen to the program, who call in, and especially those of you who keep us in your prayers, please know that you're in our prayers. But it's just could not be more of a joy to be on the air with you every day and to know that you're a part of the Take Two family. This show really was designed and developed for you, with you in mind, to try to, well, the way I put it the other day to somebody, I said, Debbie and I get up each morning, Debbie in Phoenix, me in Southern California, and we get to try to help you become a better person. That's our aim. So, Debbie, our listeners are fantastic, and I can't wait for the opportunity to celebrate 1 year with them next week.
Oh, absolutely. And dear listeners, you're already sending in comments, and it's just so humbling, the thoughts and your kind words. You are so gracious and wonderful about Take Two. And like Jerry said, I just want to reiterate, this show is yours. You made it a favorite. You made it popular because of you. Jerry and I are here for the ride. We're along for the ride. You guys drive it. So please make sure you tell your friends that this is a show by you, for you, and because of you. So thanks so much. This was a great show. I've got lots of books I got to go order now, Jerry.
That's right. And I'll just reiterate again, please keep us in your prayers. Debbie and I are more sinful than any of you. So we need prayers. We're imperfect, but God has granted us this opportunity. So please, we really, really mean, we're serious when we say please keep us in prayer. And we do for you every day. So looking forward to next week, Debbie. But, man, what a great week this has been.
It's been a wonderful week. But stay tuned in all day long on EWTN Radio. Plenty of shows just for you to help you in your faith walk. But until then, Jerry and I want to wish you a beautiful and blessed weekend. See you on Monday, anniversary week. Don't forget it.